Hey, this is Kevin, Big Bear Performance. Just want to go over how to install a rear engine mount on a DYNA. This is how it's going to come to you already assembled. Go ahead and remove these 4 bolts. So it comes off like that. So what you're left with is this centerpiece, okay? This is already assembled and it's already lined up. It's already been assembled so that it is square with the body. And if we were to take this in a square, we could see that it's square. Okay, it's ready for installation. So what we want to do is go ahead and remove the exhaust system and the rear master cylinder on your DYNA. Remove the rear engine mount and support the engine with a flat jack on top of a bike lift. And then you can go ahead and take this piece right here. Notice that one of the holes is close to the edge here. You've got the hole right here at the bottom. Go ahead and slip that up into the frame. Do not install these bolts yet. Just hold this up here. And then go ahead with the nuts towards the primary, the nut side here where they fit into the hexes. That's going to go on the primary side, and you're going to slip that up there into the frame and put it over the rubber part of the engine mount. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the side. On the pipe side of the bike, you're going to slip this one up over here like this, right? And then you're going to go ahead and install this. The transmission's right here. You're going to go ahead and install the top bolt and just get one just barely started. Same with the other one, and just get it barely started, and then jack the motor up, and the frame's going to be right here, and you can sneak these bolts in here and then get them started. And again the other one, and then start cranking down these bolts here. We're going to put these 2 bolts in last, okay? So you go ahead and get all these 4 bolts, crank them up evenly, this one and this one, this one and then this one, until you get all snugged up. And on the bottom here, we're actually going to crush the rubbers. On the bottom here, the gap right here is going to get closed up completely, okay? And at the top here, we're clamping down on the transmission itself. Once you get all that done, then go ahead and lower the transmission down and install the 2 rear bolts, and you're done. Put your exhaust back on, your rear master cylinder. That's how you install the rear engine mount, okay? The writing will be up the right way. Hey, this is Kevin, Big Bear Performance. I want to talk about how to install a front engine mount on your DYNA. This is the centerpiece to the engine mount. It's inscribed on the top of the engine mount, an L for the left side and an R for the right side. As if you're sitting on the bike, this would be your right side, which is your pipe side, and the left side, which is the primary side of the bike. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is jack up the motor, remove the old engine mount, go ahead and install the centerpiece first, put your bolts through here. Now on the steel mount, it's just tapped, so you just take the original bolts and run them through. With the aluminum mount, we're going to supply you with longer bolts and flange nuts to clamp this engine mount onto the bike, under the engine cases. Once you've got this just snugged up on the engine, leave it a little bit loose so you can move it from left to right. Go ahead and run a tap into the holes on the frame that these pieces are going to bolt on. This piece here is to go on the right side of the bike, on this side, and it's cut on an angle like this to clearance the exhaust system. And of course we supply you with the bolts and the washers to clamp here. Your rubber mount's going to clamp right here, and it has a slot on the rubber mount to line up with this dowel pin. Go ahead and install the center bolt. Make sure that this center bolt gets tight and the rubber mount becomes tight on this part of the engine mount. And then this is going to slip over the rubber part of the engine mount. Lube this a little bit with a little bit of Windex or something just to lubricate the rubber, so this will slide on because it's a bit of a tight fit, and if it's dry it'll want to stick. And get that started on there, and the same thing on this side, exactly the same process. As you can see, when you clamp this on, you'll notice that this is a 2006. There's a little bit of a bump right here that's going to go towards the rear. The same with this one here, that's going to be faced this way towards the rear. Go ahead and start bolting up these pieces with the bolts, and what you're going to notice is that there's going to be a gap, there's going to be a lot of pressure starting to go onto these rubber mounts, and that's the way it's designed. You're going to put 100,000ths crush on these rubber mounts on each side, and what that does is it stops the engine from moving from left to right. There's a certain amount of crush on these rubber mounts, and they're designed that way. So don't be afraid when you see that. Make sure you use never seize on your bolts, on your threads, so you don't gall your bolts inside your frame, the last thing you want to do. And lubricate everything as far as the bolts and threads and nuts. That way you're not going to have any galling as far as your bolts go. And then go ahead and tighten those up to the locked down. Looking at putting about 35 foot-pounds of torque on these bolts here. The center bolt in the center here, you're looking at putting about 45 foot-pounds of torque. And your engine mount bolts, you want to put about 45 foot-pounds of torque on. With the adjustable mounts, I like to get everything tight except for these two bolts here and leave them loose. Then I like to fire up the engine and let the vibration of the engine settle the engine where it wants to sit. It usually is, that's how you're supposed to do the alignment. And then tighten up the bolts and you're all good to go. There you go, there's a front engine mount from soup to nuts. And good luck. Call me if you've got any questions. Be glad to help you. Thanks.